All right, here is the answers to the quarter 4 test review. So go ahead and just go through it, and if you get to a question that you got wrong, then go ahead and watch the portion that you need to know. If not, move on to the next one. All right, number 1 says, which is the correct set of numbers? And they give you 4 choices, A, B, C, or D. The key to this one is to change everything to decimals and then read the way that it looks. So, like, let's say A. This first one, I'm just going to do the first one to show you how to compare. So this is saying negative 8.3 is less than 0.041. That's correct because a negative number is always less than a positive number. And then it's saying that 0.041 is less than 95 over 100, or sorry, 95 divided by 10 is the same thing as 9.5. This number is not less than this number, so it can't be A. Okay, so let's look at B. So 827% is 8.27. That is not less than 0.041. Okay, so it cannot be B. All right, and then C, we have negative 8.33. That is less than 0.041 because a negative number is always smaller than a positive number. And then 827 is 8.27. So 0.041 is less than 8.27. And 8.27 is less than 8.683. And then 8.683 is less than 9.5. So the correct answer on that one is C. All right, second one. It says last week Jake earned $253 working 23 hours. So that's information we need. And this week she earned, or he earned, $308 at the same hourly rate. That means that he's making the same amount per hour. Exactly how many hours did he work this week? So first thing you want to do is figure out how much does he make per hour. So if he gets $253 for working 23 hours, you're going to go ahead and divide 253 by 23. So when we do that, we get $11 per hour. Okay, so if she worked if she earned $308 at that same hourly rate, and you want to know how many hours she worked, now you're going to take the $308 and divide that by 11. Okay. So that means he worked exactly 28 hours this week. All right, number 3, what is the formula for the table below? Now when you get a problem like this, the key is that you're looking at the table, so these are your x values right here, and then these are your y values. And they're basically telling you, for A, it's saying x times y is equal to 6. So you look over here. X is 4, y is 2. Is 4 times 2 equal to 6? It is not. So it cannot be A. All right, B says x divided by y is equal to 6. And this first one is 4 divided by 2. That is not equal to 6, so it can't be B. Okay, C says x minus y equals 6. So 4 minus 2 does not equal 6. And D says x plus y equals 6. So you have 4 plus 2, which is equal to 6. So this one is correct. Okay, so it is D. And then it says use the formula to tell what x would equal if y equals negative 12. So you start with your formula, which is x plus y equals 6. We have 2 variables here, but they're giving us the value of y, and they're saying that y is equal to negative 12. So you do x, and then y is negative 12, so minus 12 equals 6. And then from here, all you're doing is solving an equation. So you add 12 to this side, add 12 to that side, you get x, this is 0, equals 18. So x would be equal to 18. All right, number 4. So let's write out this problem, make it a little bit bigger. So negative 2 times 4x minus 5 plus 6 times 2y plus 2. Okay, if you look at this problem, you notice we have two variables, so we're not going to solve for a variable, but what we're going to do is we're going to simplify it. So whenever you have parentheses, you always tell yourself you have to get rid of those, so you're going to do the distributive property. Negative 2 times 4x is negative 8x, and then negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. Okay, so we got rid of that first set of parentheses. Then you're going to do 6 times 2y is positive 12y, and then 6 times 2 is positive 12. All right, so now we look at that and we've gotten all of the parentheses away, and now you look and you see, is there anything that I can put together? Well, the x's don't have anything to go with, so we just have negative 8x. Take care of that one. Then we've got our y with nothing to combine, so 12y. And then now we've got this positive 10 and this positive 12, so that would be positive 22. So your final answer would be negative 8x plus 12y plus 22. And you can't do anything else because you don't know what x and y is. All right, this one's a toughie. It says Brooke bought a new computer for $1,250. So this is how much she paid. 1 month later, she saw the same computer on sale for $875. When the computer was put on sale, how much was it marked down from its original price of $1,250? So first thing we want to do is we want to see how much money did she save, or what was the discount. Okay, so you would do $1,250. There's a lot of different ways to do this problem, but I'm going to do it one way. Okay, so when you do that, you get your difference of $375. That is the discount. Okay, so that means that this is a certain percent, we don't know what that percent is, of the $1,250. Okay, so whenever you're trying to find the percent of something, you always want to set up a proportion. So we want to know what percent. So what percent is always x over 100, because we want to know what out of 100. We don't know that. And the 100 represents the total amount. Our total amount is $1,250. And the portion that we know is the discount is $375. Right? So that's going to tell us what percent that $375 is. So you're going to cross multiply. So you're going to do x times 1250, so that's 1250x equals 37,500. Right, then we solve for x by dividing by 1250. All right, and when you do that math, you get x is equal to 30. So that means that it was discounted 30%. Now when you have a problem like this, make sure you always take the time to plug it back in and make sure that you got the correct answer. All right, number 6. Draw a graph in a table for the equation of y equals 2x plus 1. All right, so they've given you this equation, y equals 2x plus 1. And for the table, what we're going to do is this first part. So when x is equal to 1, that means that's going to be 2 times 1 plus 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So that means y equals 3. And then if you do x equals 2, 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, right? And then when x is 3, 2 times 3 plus 1. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, right? If you notice there's a pattern, it's going up 2 each time. So this next one would be 9, and this next one would be 11. Okay, so now those are our points. So basically what that means is our first point is going to be 1, 3. Our second point is going to be 2, 5. Then we're going to have 3, 7. Okay, now I'm going to go with this graph I have on here is really small, so it's not going to look really good. But your graph should look something like this. So I have 1, 3 should be, it's probably not going to work very well. 3. So your graph is going to look something like that. Really what we're concerned about is that you can take these points and you can draw them and plot them on the graph. Just remember, whenever they give you an equation, you're just going to put in what they give you to get your output. All right, number 7, approximate the value of 162. Approximate means that you don't have the exact, but you need to just find what the basic one is. So we have the square root of 162. what you do is you find the two perfect squares that are on either side of it. The next one is 169, and the one before that is 144. The square root of 144 is 12, and the square root of 169 is 13. So 162 lies between that. And then you look at it. Is it closer to 144 or closer to 169? It's closer to 169, so if you estimate, it's probably about approximately 12.7, 12.8. Okay? All right. That one's pretty easy. All right, number 8. Find the first 4 terms of the sequence. Okay, so our sequence, I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. Our sequence is 30 plus 5 times n minus 2. All right, so when it's giving you the first terms, it's telling you to do it when n is 1, when n is 2. So all you're doing here is you're plugging in the value of n in your sequence. So the first one, and that has it written in the table, is 30 plus 5 times 1 minus 2. Right, so when you do that, you do parentheses first. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 times 5 plus 30. Then you have to do multiplication first. So 30 and 5 minus 1, or times minus negative 1 is negative 5, and 30 minus 5 is 25. So that's our first one. Right. The second one is going to be 30 plus 5 times 2 minus 2. Okay, this one should be pretty easy because 2 minus 2 is 0, and 5 times 0 is 0, so this is just 30. So I've got 25, 30, and if you notice, there's probably a pattern. Let's do one more just to double check. 30 plus 5 times 3 minus 2, so 30 plus 5 times 3 minus 2 is 1, so that is 35. Okay, so you know that our next one has to be 40, but you can plug in the 4 to verify it. Okay. All right, number 9. If the image below was dilated by a scale factor of 2/3, what would be the new coordinates for point J? First of all, let's talk about what dilated means. Dilated means that it gets bigger or it gets smaller. If the scale factor is less than 1, it gets smaller. If the scale factor is bigger than 1, it gets larger. So we know right now that our scale factor is 2/3. So we know that that is going to get smaller. Okay? And it's only talking about point J, which is this point right here. So when you get a question like this, all you're doing is you put your original coordinates. Your original coordinates of point J are -6 and 2. Okay? So when it tells you that it's getting dilated by a scale factor, remember, that just means that you're going to multiply it by the scale factor, each coordinate. So you would do -6 times 2/3 and 2 times 2/3. All right, so this is multiplying fractions. So you change that into a fraction, and you do -6 times 2 is -12. 1 times 3 is 3. And then over here, change that into a fraction. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. All right, and now we see if we can simplify. -12 divided by 3 is -4. And 4 over 3, we can leave it as 4/3, or you could also change it to 1 1/3. And for those of you that like decimals, you could say 1.333, but I would rather you leave it in a fraction, so it would be one of these two answers. Okay, just remember that if you do it wrong, you would know because the points get bigger, but it actually needs to get smaller because it's a scale factor less than 1. All right, which of the geometric solids below has the largest volume? All right, so first let's just do one at a time. So rectangular pyramid. The volume of a rectangular pyramid is volume equals area of the base times the height divided by 3. Okay, so area of the base is going to be 10 times 9, and then times the height of 12, and all of that divided by 3. Okay, if you do that math, you get 360 inches cubed. All right. Now let's do the prism. The volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So that's going to be 12 times 8 times 7, which is equal to 672 inches cubed. All right, now for the cone, the volume is equal to pi r squared times the height divided by 3. So I know in my class I told you guys to use 3 for pi, but actually you need to use 3.14 because it does change the answer because you were comparing the volumes. So we have 3.14 times the radius squared times the height divided by 3. Okay, and when you do that math, you actually get 718 approximately inches cubed. So this one has the largest volume. If you use 3 for pi, you're going to get the wrong answer. So go ahead and use 3.14, and the cone has the largest volume. Okay? All right, here we go. Distributive property. So we've got 4 times 3y minus 6 equals 156. Okay, we have an equal sign. One variable means we can solve it. So first thing you do, look and see, can you combine anything? You can, but you've got parentheses, so we're going to do distributive property. 4 times 3y is 12y. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24 equals 156. All right, so now we have an equation. We want to isolate the variable, so we're going to get rid of this constant. So the opposite of negative 24 is positive 24. You have to do the same thing to both sides. Okay, so the 12y carries down. Negative 24 plus 24 is equal to 0. Okay, and then we've got 156 plus 124 is 180. Okay, now we go ahead and solve for y. So divided by 12, and y is equal to 15. All right, now remember, when you guys have a test or something, you need to make sure that you're plugging that back in, okay? So you could check that by doing 4 times 3 times 15 minus 6 is equal to 156. So 3 times 15 is 45 minus 6. Sorry, and I'm being lazy and have my calculator. Okay, 45 minus 6 is 39. So 4 times 39 is equal to 156. So it does check out and work. All right, number 12. Let me rewrite this. So we've got 4 times x plus 2 minus x minus 3 equals 29. All right, look at it. Can we combine anything? Nope. We have parentheses, so we're going to get rid of those parentheses. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times positive 2 is positive 8. All right, now we've got this negative sign on the outside of the parentheses. Remember, that's like having a negative 1 here. So now we're going to multiply. Negative 1 times positive x is negative x. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3 equals 29. Now we put like things together. We're going to combine like terms. So we have 4x and negative x combined together give us 3x. Then we have positive 8, positive 3 plus 11. Oops. And that equals 29. All right, now we got to isolate the variable, so we're going to get rid of that positive 11 by subtracting 11 from both sides. So 3x is equal to 18. Then we solve for x, divide each side by 3, and x is equal to 6. All right. All right, here is our baseball diamond. Baseball diamond is in the shape of a square, so that means that all 4 sides are congruent if it's a square, and these are right angles. Right? Okay. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. It wants to know if each side is equal to 90 feet, 90, what is the distance from first base to third base? Now they're talking about going straight across here. So remember, that is a right triangle. I'm going to draw it over here. Okay, so we've got 90 here and 90 here, and the hypotenuse is the distance from first to third. So our Pythagorean theorem tells us a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's 90 squared plus 90 squared equals c squared. 90 squared is 8100 plus 8100 equals c squared. So 8100 plus 8100 is 16,200 equals c squared. So you take the square root of both sides, so c is equal to the square root of 16,200. When you take your test, you shouldn't have huge numbers like this, but c is approximately 128 feet. Okay? Now the other one is talking about what is the area of the square. So area of the square is the side squared, so that would be 90 squared, which is 8,100 feet squared for the area. Okay? Alright, number 14. Which of the following is a non-proportional relationship? Basically with this one, you just kind of want to look at, you know that for every foot, right, so if you have 1 foot, you know that you have 12 inches. If you have 2 feet, you have 24 inches. Okay, so it's a constant thing that's happening. Same thing for ounces. If you have 16 or 1 pound, that's 16 ounces. So that means 2 pounds would be 32 ounces. And you can follow that pattern. All right, and then quarts and gallons. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So that means that 2 gallons has to be 8 quarts, so on and so forth. Okay, so these are all the same. Now, square feet and square yards are different because remember, a square is talking about you're having to square something, so it's going to be different. Okay, so the one that does not work the same is going to be this square one, and we can talk more about that in a little bit. This one, I just want you guys to know that this one is different than these other 3. All right, 16. Now, this question, the best way to start off is to just go ahead and label. Let me just draw this bigger. Okay, so we know that VW, which is right here, is 7. YW is 14. We want to know VX, which is this, and XZ, which is 16. Okay, so by looking at that, let's see, a lot of you guys, I think, just looking at that, thought that x was equal to 8. Okay? And it is, that's correct. So I'm curious how you guys solved it. Now, you can look at it and say that if you have 14 here, and this is 7, so this is half of 7, that would be correct. And so if this is 16, half of that would be 8. Okay, but let's do it a different way also. So let's go ahead and draw the 2 triangles, right? Because it's 2 triangles. So this is 7, that's x. This big triangle is actually 21, and this is actually 16 plus x. Hold on, looks bad. Okay, so we set up our proportion. We've got 7 over 21 is equal to x over 16 plus x. Okay, 7 over 21 simplifies to 1/3 equals x over 16 plus x. Then all you do is you cross multiply. So 3 times x is 3x, and 1 times 16 plus x is 16 plus x. All right, so we solve for x minus x minus x. That gives us 2x equals 16. So x has to be equal to 8. Okay? All right, so that is your answer. All right, number 17. Let's go ahead and rewrite this. So negative 5x squared minus 5xy plus 3y squared, parentheses, plus 2 times negative 3x squared plus 8xy plus y squared. All right, so if we look at this, we know that this first polynomial is going to stay the same. So we just have negative 5x squared minus 5xy plus 3y squared. All right, now we're going to do our distributive property because we need to get rid of the parentheses to get this 2 out of the way. So we're going to multiply. 2 times negative 3x squared is negative 6x squared. Then 2 times positive 8xy is 16xy. And then 2 times positive y squared is 2y squared. Okay, so now you're going to look and you're going to combine things that go together. So let's change pens here for a second. You know that you have a negative 5x squared and a negative 6x squared. If you put those together, you get negative 11x squared. Okay, then we also have negative 5xy and positive 5xy. If you combine those, you get positive 11xy. Okay, and then we've got positive 3y squared and positive 2y squared, which is positive 5, 5y squared. So our final answer would be negative 11x squared plus 11xy plus 5y squared. All right, number 18. Let's rewrite this one. 7x minus 11 times 2x plus 2 equals 1/3 times 6x plus 12 minus 8x plus 1. All right, so first thing you do is you look, and let's go ahead and get rid of the parentheses first. So the 7x stays the same. Then you're going to multiply. Negative 11 times 2x is a negative 22x. Then negative 11 times 2 is negative, is negative 22. All right, so we've cleared out that. All right, now don't freak out about the fractions. So you take 1/3 of 6. 1/3 of 6 is 2, so we have 2x. And then 1/3 of 12 is 4. And then minus 8x plus 1. All right, so now we look on both sides of the equal sign. We combine what we can combine. We can combine 7x and negative 22x. So if you take 7x and combine it to negative 22x, you get negative 15x minus 22. And then you've got 2x and negative 8x, so that's negative 6x. And then you have 4 and 1, so that's plus 5. All right, when you get to this part, you can do it however you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and add 6x here and add 6x there. So that gives us 15x plus 6x is negative 9x minus 22 equals 5. Now we need to isolate our variables, so we do plus 22 plus 22. That gives us negative 9x equals 27. Then divide each side by negative 9. That gives us 1. X is equal to negative 3. Okay? Alright, I think we're on second to last. Alright, probability. She has marbles. She's got 4. She's got 4 blue. She has 12 green, 6 yellow, 15 red, and 3 orange, for a total of 40. Alright, and they want to know the probability of choosing an orange marble. Okay, that's easy. There are 3 orange marbles, so she has a 3 out of 40 chance of getting an orange marble. Alright, but let's go ahead and do something else. What if it says the probability of getting an orange, putting it back and getting a red. Okay, so we were doing it with replacement. So orange is going to be 3 out of 40, and red is going to be, how many red are there? 15 out of 40. All right, then you would multiply those to get your answer. So we could simplify 3 over 40, and we can simplify that. So 5 goes in 3, 8. So then we would get 9 out of 320. All right, just to show you that this is one event, and this one right here is for 2 events. Okay, but this is the correct answer, the 3 out of 40. All right, number 20. For which group are about 1/3 of used cars purchased? So 1/3 is equal to 33.3 repeating percent. So the one that is closest to that is going to be private owner. So your answer here is private. All right. So now it's saying if 45,350 people bought used cars last year, how many bought them from a used car lot? All right. So that means that that 45,350 people bought cars, and they want to know how many bought them from a used car lot. The used car lot was 13%. So you're going to multiply that by 0.13, and when you multiply 45,350 times 0.13, you get 5,895. So you should get 5,895. All right, that is the end of the review. Hope you guys do well, study hard, and do well on the test.